Well, this week, we have seen many women file sexual lawsuits against Bill Cosby in Nevada. This comes weeks after Nevada got rid of the statutes of limitations for civil cases, which include sexual assault. And it has made some allegations that are decades old come back to the surface now.
Our legal analyst Whitney Traylor is here with us this morning to give us a better understanding of everything that's happening. Whitney, good morning. I want to start with first, what exactly is happening there in Nevada? Of course, this is 2 weeks after the governor there did away with the deadline to file the charges. Does that mean there's no deadline to file charges in a case like this anymore?
Yeah, that's essentially what it means. So a statute of limitations is a law that's both in civil and criminal law, and essentially it's the time in which you have to bring the case. And the reason they have statute of limitations is so that, 30 years later, you're not trying to pull up witnesses and documents and things like that. There's some crimes, though, like murder and kidnapping, treason, they don't have a statute of limitations. So here in Nevada, California, there were some other states, they had a statute of limitations for 2 years. So you had to bring your claim within 2 years. So now this new law says there is no statute of limitations. So they can now go back decades later and file this civil claim.
Well, that changes things in a really big way when you think about it. How is that going to shape cases like this going forward, at least in Nevada for now?
Well, definitely I would expect that you're going to see people who are having claims of sexual assault, sexual misconduct, bringing those claims, because some of those people, they weren't able to bring them strictly because of the statute of limitations, and it may have been they missed it by a month, a week. And a lot of times with these kind of survivors, it does take years and years for it to even come out, for them to even acknowledge it, so let alone then pursue it in a judicial manner. So that you're going to see more of those cases, I think. Are
other states following suit, or do you think they will?
I think they will, and you've seen this. So California has passed a similar law. Nevada. Here in Colorado, we passed a law in January of 2022. And so, but our law says there's no statute of limitations now on the sexual misconduct, which includes assault and rape, things like that. But you can only go back to January of 2022 and if your claim was within the statute of limitations at that time. But everyone else going forward, there's not a statute of limitations. So if somebody is assaulted today, they can bring their case 10 years from now. In Colorado, it was in some instances just a year. So it was a really short statute of limitations on the civil claims.
I apologize for putting you on the spot. I'm just curious, since we have seen that change here in Colorado, have we seen any cases from maybe decades back or that was outside of that statute of limitations come forward?
No, I don't think we have, but because the law is so new, and this is a really sort of interesting academic point about our branches of government. So the legislature creates the law, they create these statutes, and then what happens is somebody has to go to court, and the courts, through the appellate process, make their decision, and that's how we form our common law with the cases from what the legislature initially did. So because this is a fairly new law, January of 2022, we haven't seen a lot of cases in court yet, but we will.
What do you think will happen in these trials? I mean, you talked about why these statutes of limitations were even in place, because now you're going back 10 years or whatever to find witnesses and get all the information. What do you think is going to happen? Well,
that's going to be a really difficult issue because the plaintiff has the burden of proof. So these women it's a preponderance of the evidence. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt, but it's still their burden to prove. So they have to convince a jury that this happened. And now you're talking about some of these were in 1969, 75, 89. So now you have to go back and essentially tell this jury this story and say, here's the witnesses, here's who I told, here's the documents that I have. And a lot of the witnesses will be already passed away and won't remember. And so that's why we have the statute of limitations. So they're going to go forward, but it's still a matter of, this is our judicial system, a matter of looking at these witnesses and deciding credibility. So it is in a lot of ways he say, she say. Now, the other interesting thing with Cosby is I'm not sure his mental abilities to even be in a trial, because the last pictures you saw years ago, he looked in failing health. So that's going to be an issue as well.
A story we're going to pay very close attention to. And we appreciate you helping us get a little better understanding of what's happening, Whitney.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right.